Hey everyone, I want to welcome you. You see it's number 50, and well, you could see by the name below who the character is. I know it may not have been the way people were hoping, but yes, we are talking about Nicole The Holo Lynx. That's right. For our 50th Animated Girls Profile Confidential, we are looking at Nicole The Holo Lynx. Now, I know some of you might say she doesn't really count because she wasn't really in any animated form. I beg to differ. Because she was in animated form as a handheld computer, yes. So in a sense, it counts. And when you take a look at all these fan animations, these SFMs, and whatever you want to call them, I say she's getting her fair share of animated treatment. Now, what can I say about Nicole's character? Nicole's character has been around since the beginning. In Sonic The Hedgehog, she of course was the handheld. And actually, if you want to get more technical, you take a look at the Heads or Tails pilot, which was designed more after the early days of the comic. And Nicole was actually a big bulking computer on wheels. But anyway, yeah, Nicole had been around since Sonic The Hedgehog as a handheld computer. And it was in season 2 that she developed more of a character, especially with the episode The Void. You see, the episode The Void kind of opened up a little bit more of Nicole's character. But like I said, it opened up a little bit more of Nicole's character in that episode because, as we saw throughout season 2, and a little bit of season 1, but mostly season 2, Nicole basically had to translate a lot of what she was saying technically in very over Sonic's head kind of wise into plain English. So her character development started, like I said, in the show in season 2 and really culminated in the Void episode, because after the Void episode, anytime Sonic would use her for information, she would kind of like quickly get the concept of, she wouldn't quickly get the concept, but she'd basically quickly adapt to, okay, I speak one way for Sally because that's how Sally understands what I'm telling her. And now that I get used by Sonic for information, I'll talk one way to Sonic so he can see information he needs. So, yeah, Nicole's character development really improved a lot in season 2, even as a handheld. But as the comics came around, her origin was a little bit more different. In the early portions of the comic, she was referenced a few times. In fact, there was one issue where I think Sally had bought her, and she was known as the Nicole 3000 or something like that. But it really didn't start to get more stabilized for Nicole's character until we got to about around issue 17 and 18, and mostly around the time when they released the Sonic In Your Face 48-page special. You see, in this 48-page comic, we find out that Nicole, as far as the comics were concerned at that time, came from the future. She came from the future, because there she was developed by Rotor, and she was set into the past to kind of at the behest of her future self to her younger self, so Nicole could help her younger self. She can help her younger self out with any kind of information that was needed. Now, it wouldn't be until about way down later on in the comics that Nicole's character started to really develop. There was a situation during the comics run where Sonic and Sally were no longer an item. Basically, Sally was still kind of friends, but basically there was a situation where if they hung out, I think, a lot with each other, it was basically at a time. Basically, when this happened, basically when this happened, it was after the whole infamous 134 slap. And, long story short, what occurred was Nicole and Sally were basically, Sally was holding Nicole at the same time this happened, but they were both electrocuted to the point that the electrocution caused Sally and Nicole to switch bodies. Nicole ended up in Sally's body, and Sally ended up in Nicole's portable handheld. And it was only for the short time of that issue, but that started the prologue, basically that set the foundation, is what I'm saying, for what would happen later on. Because later on, the artist that worked on Sabrina for a while, especially during the time where they were giving the Sabrina comic book a more anime-like feel, came on board for this short story called Stargazing. And it was in this story that Nicole had temporarily created herself through her portable handheld. Had temporarily created herself a physical body, and it's got the attention of Sally, where Sally followed her to the lake, one of the lakes around there, and basically Nicole, and basically I guess they had a conversation. It was through this conversation that not only did Sally see more of the potential that Nicole had and the power that she had, but we also found out that just with a portable handheld, she's very limited in using the body. She can't use it for so long. She needs a stronger power source, a stronger power outlet, if you will. But it's through this conversation in Stargazing that I think Sally kind of woke up and realized that she had been mad and upset for all the wrong reasons. And it was, like I said, it was just one of those even though it was a backup story and it was done by the artist that did Sabrina, and I think even one of the female writers that worked on Sabrina, was a story arc that was well needed. Well, not story arc, but a short story that was well needed, because they would continue this later on. There's a story where Shadow got the help from Sonic and his friends, the Freedom Fighters and all that. And one of the ways they had to do this was to go into the internet, if you will, or into some world. Basically, they went into this. They basically went digital, if you will. And by going digital, they were able to access a program that Shadow had found on a disc, and this allowed them to interact by going into this virtual reality. This allowed them to interact with Dr. Gerald Robotnik, Shadow's creator, and Maria. And it was at the same time when Shadow and Sonic did this that they first encountered Nicole in her new Lynx form, and Sonic actually liked it. He kind of was basically a little flirtatious. Flirtatious is like, he's surprised at first. He's like, Nicole? And Nicole shyly kind of explains, what she'd been doing. And Sonic's like, yeah, cool, I like the look. He's like, sweet, I like the look. So basically a little flirtatious there, if you will. But yeah, that was the first time they encountered it. And Nicole had basically had the design since then, or had that look since then. They even built upon the fact that this to the point that when the 175 three-part story arc came around, the 175 to 177 story arc came around, that in 176, we see that Nicole had secretly, behind the scenes, been using a lot of the nanites, that another villainous character called Adam had left behind. And she was using them to rebuild the destroyed. I think it was destroyed Robotropolis or Megalopolis and rebuild it into the new Mobotropolis. And by building this city, because we find out the city, as real as it is also made entirely of nanites, it allows her to maintain her physical form even outside of her computer. So she's able to maintain this physical form even outside the computer. And what I mean by maintain it is the fact that she can even feel people, I think, brush by her, like Sonic could speed by her, and you could kind of see her feeling the effects of his speed and all that. So she's able to maintain her physical form, but only within the city limits. You know, she isn't able to maintain it outside of that anymore. Now, the one thing, though, that this did do, though, is it created a story arc with the Iron Dominion, which was basically sort of also a character building moment for Nicole. Some would say it tore her down a little bit as a character, but it also built her back up. It also built the people, the citizens around her, for making them realize, hey, we do need Nicole around here. Because what happened is the Iron Dominion, through the Iron Queen and Snively, took over the city and basically manipulated, corrupted Nicole for a time, just a brief time, very brief, to where Sally had to go into the digital world herself along with Sonic and basically put up a firewall that freed Nicole. And Nicole was able to finally, through that firewall, was able to regain her composure and everything and realize what had happened, but also at the behest of Sally, realized this is an opportunity, but at the behest of Sally was able to redon her Iron Nicole look. Yeah, she had a new look as Iron Nicole, but she was able to basically, at the behest of her friend, become a double agent for the rest of the Dominion arc. Now, it doesn't just go from there. It doesn't just start from there, because it's even the aftermath of that had Nicole grow as a character, because you had Nicole have to regain the trust of the citizens, have to regain the trust of other people like Mina Mongoose and other people. I mean, you can even see as a character how she was affected during the whole Mecha Sally arc, because it's like there was nothing she could really do to save her friend. And again, and it was during this time, like I said, it was about character building and developing, that Nagus, who had basically convinced the people to make him king, had turned the people against Nicole, and it took Nicole quite some time to regain the trust of several people like Mina Mongoose and others, to make them realize, hey, she isn't really at fault here. She's just, she's just been framed. She's just been a pawn in the whole thing. Now, like I said, like I said, Nicole got a lot of great character development element all the way around in that portion of the comic, and she started to get even more so in the new soft retcon reboot back around the 250s mark. Because as I mentioned before, or in the 3-part video, I guess you can call it now, basically Nicole ended up being the key to a lot of the characters, not just Sonic, but characters like Tails and Bunny and Antoine and Sally and Amy, regaining the memories of the old world, because she had somehow absorbed some of the leftover energy from the Genesis wave. She had absorbed some of that energy, to the point that even Nagus ended up having his memories kind of restored for a time, by touching Nicole. And I think it was through that touch that she ended up absorbing a lot of the Genesis energy, or the residue of the Genesis energy, or Genesis wave energy. And she basically was, like I said, the key to everybody being the memories being restored. But at the same time, the memories got restored. She physically got restored herself. She physically was being restored herself, because what had happened when Nagus had touched her, was the fact that she ended up becoming a little damaged, very glitchy at times, but the more everybody else touched her and regained the memories, the more she was able to get back her full form, her full power, get back to full strength. So in the end, Nicole, through the countdown to chaos, which was 252 to 255, or 256, depending on how you look at it, was able to regain her proper structure through that. And Nicole did get some moments in this new continuity and soft retcon, reboot, whatever you want to call it, because not only was she able to help everybody restore the memories, but she was able to figure out exactly what had happened at the same time Eggman did. And she played an integral role sometimes. She even in the issue after Countdown to Chaos, she was the one that comforted Sally and said, look, this is not a time to freak out. She basically told Sally, look, this is not the time to freak out, okay? What happened in the past, that wasn't really you. She basically informed Sally that, look, what happened in the past, in the previous timeline, that really wasn't you. That was somebody entirely different. The you I know doesn't give up, doesn't freak out in pressure situations like this. The you I know encourages people like she encouraged Loop and Dulcie. So yeah, she's able to comfort Sally and make Sally realize, hey, what happened in the past, that's done and over with. Let's focus on what needs to be done now. And you be who you always have meant to be. So she played, like I said, she played a huge role. She played an integral role all in that. Heck, she even had her own 4-part Sonic Universe story arc dedicated to her called Spark of Life. Everybody else had like a side story in a digest or an archive or wherever. She had a full 4-part Sonic Universe story arc dedicated to her and how she came to be. As a matter of fact, her gaining her the way she came to be in this story arc, in this continuity, in this timeline, wasn't from being in the future. No, she was created by a new character called Dr. LED. And yeah, Nicole's creation does have a little bit of tragedy to it because Dr. LED was trying to save the brain patterns of his patterns of his daughter Nikki, but he couldn't do it. And the residue that was Nikki ended up forming into what became Nicole. But we do have but in Spark of Life, we're introduced to a new villainous character, a very cyber villain on behalf of Eggman called Phage, who a lot of us pretty much can confirm, even though Ian Flynn hasn't done it or Leah Baker hasn't done it, we can confirm probably is what remains of Nikki's personality and brainwaves, but corrupted. So anyway, basically Nicole's background origin here is a little bit of tragedy because she was the result of what Dr. LED tried to do to save his daughter. So in a sense, Nicole is somewhat Dr. LED's daughter, but not by blood. And I liked the story arc, I really did, because it gave focus on Nicole. It showed that it basically showed that she could be more than just an artificial intelligence. She can be more than just someone that lives in cyberspace, lives in cyberspace, that lives, that is just there for information. That she can be more. In fact, like I said in a previous video before this was the issue that hinted that even the Sonic Saiyajin characters could probably go super, because in the finale of Spark of Life, Dr. LED places the red ring on Nicole's handheld and she becomes overclocked Nicole. She becomes a super form version of herself. And I like that, I really do, because that showed that, because of all the characters, all the non-game characters you could have done this with, you decided to do it with Nicole, and I liked it. I really did. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that concept. I got a kick out of it. I enjoyed it. I really, really did. And I don't think I can say any more than that. I really don't think I can. Because to me, when I look at what they did here in Spark of Life, it's just, there's just so much I could say about, there's just so much more I can say. And here's the thing, here's what's funny. It's through moments like this. It's through moments like this that you have the fan base itself start putting things together. You know, one of the things that the Sonic fan base has always been known for, was trying to ship characters, keep shippings that began in the comic official, and try to keep it alive, keep those alive and everything. They try to create their own shippings from characters in the comics or whatever, and I guess in a sense by creating them, send a message to Archie Comics and send a message to Sega that, hey, we want this couple to happen. And Nicole is no exception. She is no exception. You know, true, they hinted at the fact that she could end up with Shard, who is actually a rebuilt version of the first Metal Sonic. She could end up with him. They hinted at that throughout the old continuity, throughout the old throughout the old timeline and continuity. They hinted at that. And I think a lot of fans were hoping that they would bring that back, but they didn't. But there was another shipping with Nicole and another character that a lot of fans made popular through DeviantArt and several Sonic fan sites and stories and all that. That when you look at the artwork, you could sometimes think, is this official? Is this real? They wanted to pair, you see, fans wanted to pair Nicole with Tails. Why, you may ask? I don't know. Maybe it's because Nicole's ageless. She doesn't have no real age. She could be the perfect fit for Tails. He's at that age where he can have a girlfriend. It could work. You know, she may be an AI, but she's basically become more than that now in the eyes of a lot of fans. And as far as the stories are concerned, a lot of fans were really getting behind this. Heck, there's even a freaking DeviantArt group or two or several dedicated to it. The fact is, when you have fans wanting to ship someone like Nicole with an established game character like Tails, maybe as an answer to Sonic and Sally and Antoine and Bunny and Knuckles and Julie Sue, Knuckles and Rouge, Shadow and Rouge, I should say, then that shows you what fans think of the character. It shows you what they believe about said character. And it shows that they want the character to be more than just what they're presented as. They want the character to have more. Who's to know if she ever will? I look at it like this. Nicole is going to get there. If the comic continues, if things work out between Archie and Sega and the comic continues, I truly believe Nicole's going to get there as a character in story and everything. I mean, the fact that when she first appeared in her Lynx form, if you didn't think she was popular beforehand, and she probably was, her popularity really took off after that. And I can't say any more than what I've been saying. I mean, she's a very loving, good-natured character. I really like her. I really like her character. I really do. And I don't think anybody would disagree with me on that. And again, you have fans shipping her with characters like Tails because pretty much that's an answer to them, an answer to Sonic and Sally, Bunny and Antoine, Knuckles, Julie Sue, Shadow Rouge. And you can't blame them for that because they feel that's a natural fit. But then you take a look at the fact that when you want to ship her with people, here's the thing I brought up in a video. Here's the thing I brought up. Would Archie Comics, with this new retcon, this new soft retcon and a soft rebooted universe, would Archie Comics go in a direction that pretty much in the eyes of a lot of people, as far as all media, as far as any kind of media, comic books, movies, and all that are concerned, is almost common now? Would they go the lesbian route? Because some people would say Spark of Life kind of hinted at that at times with the way Sally and Nicole were determined to help each other and stuff like that. You know, in the way it's kind of, in the eyes of people, how it's kind of hinted that might be something more than just, you know, being best friends and comrades and, you know, being a, you know, an AI that has a lot of information. You know, to me, who knows? But we've never had people come out and say anything about that. We've never had any official indication. But I will say this. If the comic continues, and if they develop these characters even more, and they decide to go down that route, I won't be surprised. I won't be. But I don't think they will. I think if they were to give Nicole, if they were to give Nicole a love interest, it's going to be Tails. I don't know why, but I think they're going to notice the support for that, and they're going to say, let's try it out, let's test it. And I think they'll be surprised by the results if they do it. So, I really can't say any more about Nicole here. I mean, talk about an evolution of a character from what she was to what she is now. And again, like I said, out of all the non-game characters, of all the Sonic SatAM related characters, they could have made Go Super first. They chose her. That shows you that her character has come a long way, even to the point that the writers and creators decide, hey, if we're going to make any of the non-Sonic game characters super, let's do her first. Just shows you how far she's come as a character and how beloved she is by everybody, from fans to even the creative staff. So, and some will say that she earned that opportunity. She earned that opportunity that the writers, the creative staff gave her at the end of Spark of Life, and I do agree with that. Especially, like I said, how far she's come as a character, from what she was to what she is now. So, I can't really say any more than that. I really can't say any more than that than the fact that if you don't know anything about Nicole The Holo Lynx, I would say Google her, read up on her information at the Mobius Wiki pages, or Fandom pages, if you will. Read up on her, learn more about her. You will appreciate how far the character's come in the past 20 years. In the past 25-something years. So that's all I can say. Thank you all for listening. Thank you all for supporting this series as far as it's gone. There will be more Animated Girl Profile Confidentials to come as well. But thank you for supporting and listening to these past 50 episodes, if you will. Thank you all for your support. Thank you all for listening and watching. I have a playlist that I will provide the link to behind here in the description, where you could check out all the previous episodes of Animated Girl Profile Confidentials. I also suggest checking out Furry Girl Profiles, the Furry Girl Profiles over at Play for Cinema. Check those out. That's where I got my inspiration from. And really, that's all I could say. Thank you all for listening and watching for the past 50 episodes, and there will be more to come. As a matter of fact, I'll give you a hint right now, and I'll tell you right now who's next. The next one to come, when I get the chance, the 51st Animated Girls Profile that comes after this one, is going to focus, and I know one person will like this, and maybe several will like it. The next Animated Girls Profile that happens, the 51st one, the next one will focus on Judy Hopps. Be ready for that one, because there's a lot I want to say about that. I may not say as much as I said here, but there will be some I will say about Judy there. Prepare for that when it happens. So that's all I'm going to say. Thank you all, and thank you all for listening. Comment below, and I'll talk to you all later.